Hey guys, so today I wanted to give you my thoughts on the Ableton Push 3, which we have right here. This is the standalone version, and we actually see the battery like over here. I'm pretty sure that's what that is. I'm pretty sure we don't have this on the controller version, but this is a heavy boy. Like, compared to the OG Push, like, the OG Push is a lot lighter. Again, this is not a computer, this is just a controller, so we do have that computer in there that adds that weight to it. But how much does that steal away from the portability or the joy of standalone? I know I'm one to like smaller gadgets like the SP404, and I'm really excited for that new Polyend Tracker Mini that's like really small. So having like a huge device like this does not appeal to me personally. Maybe like if it's very well in your studio, and that's totally fine. Hey, we're all different, guys. But when it comes to portability, I wouldn't consider it a portable device, even though it's standalone. Standalone and portable don't necessarily always go hand in hand. So just keep that in mind when, throwing this big old thing in your backpack. It's not like crazy heavy, but it is a very significant difference between this one and the controller version. One thing I really did like though was this scrolly wheel. I was wrong, it doesn't go up and down, it only goes left and right. And it is nice to have these additional scrolly wheels. So the magic upgrade here is the pads, of course, and the pads have been nice. I think even like just as a standalone instrument, I think the Push 3 is a beautiful like device. There's really not that many instruments out there doing the MPE controller thing with sounds. So when you look at it from just an instrument standpoint, like an MPE instrument standpoint, the price is not that ridiculous. That plus the fact that it has Ableton inside, sort of. Alright, so let's talk about the workflow. Let's talk about my experience with it so far. So I've had it maybe like 3 days. In those 3 days, I want to say it's crashed about 3 times. And like that makes me really sad because I hate being the beta tester when the product is already out, because these are things that should have been addressed before this machine came out. I'm getting a lot of vibes like early days Machine Plus release, the machine just getting frozen for no reason after I've loaded maybe like 3-4 tracks and like nothing even that ridiculous. So when you're comparing the standalone version to like a new computer, like it's not gonna get there. And that's because the computer on the Push 2 is probably a lot slower than your computer if you have one of the newer computers. But my problem isn't that it's not like a super fast computer. My problem is that it's crashing and that it's not letting me complete my songs, like not even really get started. Until that gets addressed, it's not a product that I can personally be excited about, or a product that I want to put like any extra time into, because I feel like I could probably just get that done faster straight in Ableton. And that's kind of what the Push 3 has made me realize. I guess I don't really use Push that much. I kind of just use it to launch clips. I don't really like use the macros that much or really do anything else besides launch clips. Like I'm really dependent on my keyboard when it comes to my workflow. So unless you're really planning on like going hard on the pads and like learning the chords and using that as your main MIDI like interface, like your controller, and not having like an extra keyboard and anything like that, I think like then it's worth like the full price if you're like gonna take full advantage of it. But if you're just using it to like launch clips and just do a few things and you're not really gonna be using like the instrument side of it, I don't think it's worth getting the standalone version. I mean, you might as well just get the controller version. The controller version is pretty backed up right now. I think it's like 2 months out before it's back in stock. The standalone version I think will be back in stock in like 4 weeks, but it makes sense that a lot of Ableton users like already know that they wanted the controller version. They already have a workflow. I really feel like the Ableton Push 3 is kind of like to get people into Ableton, people that are DAWless or that are experimenting with hardware or that maybe have stayed away from Ableton because of that. So I think that they've had this idea probably for a while now, and this was probably ready-ish around the time that Native Machines Plus came out. And I don't know, like that, I don't know how I feel about that, because if it was ready back then why are they still having problems? Or if they have been working on it this long, why is it still crashing? Why is it still doing stuff that it shouldn't be? You guys let me know what you think about that. I'm gonna mess with it a little more, maybe make some videos on the sounds. But again, it's not really a piece of gear that I want to invest a lot of energy into, just because I don't think I'm gonna be adding it to my workflow. And in reality, like, I'm gonna be honest with you guys, I've been like playing around too much. Like these past 10 years, this past decade, I've just been playing around a little too much with my music. I did release a lot of like 1-track recordings and like jams throughout this last couple years, but I've been putting off like actually sitting down and finishing some songs that I've wrote like over a decade ago that need to like get recorded and need to be like permanent in my discography. That's really my next goal, like as an artist, to like buckle down and quit playing with all these toys and all this gear and stuff and like really get some music done, because it really is a distraction, not gonna lie guys. All the hardware is a huge distraction from just sitting down and making music. Straight up, I'm thinking just like getting my laptop, a little MIDI controller, and my SP, and just seeing how much I can get done with that way. Because I feel like all these tools, like honestly guys, I haven't played my piano in a bit. These synths aren't even plugged up. So it's just like The idea of having all this hardware is fun, but the reality of it is a bunch of cables, like the workflow, something is always missing. There's always something new coming out, something exciting, and it really is a huge distraction. And the sooner you can figure out your workflow, the sooner you can start cutting out like the unnecessary tools that are holding you back, and you start understanding the process that it takes to make a finished song and what you need to do to get there. It really is a learning process, and that's why we're here. I'm just sharing my journey, and I hope you guys get something from it.